Hello, my name is Marika Lynn and I work at University Counseling Services. I'm an assistant director and also the Education and Prevention Outreach Director. I want to take a little bit of time today to tell you about our services and resources. Our primary role on campus is to attend to the mental health and emotional well-being of our UO students. We provide free, confidential mental health services with professionals like myself who specialize in working with college students. I want to emphasize two things here, so that's the free and the confidential. Free in that there are no additional out-of-pocket costs for our services, as you're actually already paying for them through the health fee. I also wanted to assure students receiving UCS services that the information shared by students is confidential, with a few rare exceptions related to imminent risk to oneself or to others. I want to give you a sense of what we typically see of students when they come to UCS. And I do want to just say, for whatever concern you might already have at any point in time, like right now, that's reason enough to come see us. So by no means is this list all-encompassing because, well, every student has their own unique experiences and concerns. I also want to say, just to normalize, that more often than not, students are experiencing a handful of things and even these following concerns. So some of the concerns that we typically see are academic stress, difficult or unexpected life experiences. Oftentimes I see that regarding family members. So for instance, a parent losing their job or a tragic accident with a loved one. We have a fair amount of students experiencing anxiety and or depression. Students also come to us with cultural identity concerns, whether exploring or struggling with their identities, such as a student coming out with their sexual orientation and wanting to tell their friends and family members. Or it could be a first-gen college student experiencing imposter syndrome. We also have students that come in for trauma, whether historically or currently. That could look like emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. It could be a recent sexual assault, or as I mentioned before, the sudden loss of a loved one. Certainly, we have students wanting to talk about their suicidal thoughts or thoughts of self-harm, and so we want them to reduce that risk and have those conversations together and get that support. We also have students that come in to talk about their alcohol and drug use, and as is typical within the college student environment, we often see body image concerns, including disordered eating. Of course, I want to share with you our services at UCS. I want to make sure you know that we do provide same-day appointments. So it could mean accessing our services for the first time, so having that clinical consult. And just know those appointments could be a one-time appointment because that's all you're perhaps needing. But for some, they're wanting something ongoing. So it could lead to a discussion about a variety of our services, whether group or individual therapy or workshops. And of course, for some students who are experiencing high distress or in crisis, they will definitely be seen right away. And this could happen whether remotely or in person. So because of COVID, we've been able to shift our therapy services to be offered online. So do know that we do provide teletherapy through Zoom, which will continue to be an option for students, as well as being back in person if they're wanting to be seen face-to-face. Of course, at UCS, we provide individual therapy, whether on a weekly or biweekly basis. We also have a really strong group therapy program, and so here you can see some offerings for the past year. Our most popular group that is offered throughout the week is called Creating Healthy Relationships, which you can tell from the title what that's probably about. We also have groups by topic, so groups for survivors, groups about family concerns, and then groups for cultural identities, whether by race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or gender, as we find students really appreciate spaces to share similar struggles and concerns with those that share the same identity. And so speaking of cultural identities, I also want to mention our identity-based specialists. While our counseling center staff work with a variety of concerns as generalists, we do have people that specialize in working with student communities mentioned here, and our intention is for that list to grow, as you can see the Native American Student Specialist position to come. I also want to note our gender support services team. There's a team of us that work with transgender and non-binary students to provide them confirmation support. Oftentimes that can look like an evaluation process to provide a letter of support for medical intervention. So that could look like hormone replacement therapy and or surgery. We also want students to know about our case management services. So usually our case managers come up for students who are interested in working with a community therapist and need referrals. So why would one typically receive referrals? It's because perhaps they're looking for something a little more long-term, or perhaps looking for a specialized service that the UCS doesn't currently provide, such as an ADHD assessment. And conversations with one of them could look like, well, I don't know how my insurance works, so can you tell me more about it? How do I find in-network providers? Or I don't want to use my insurance, or one might not have insurance and need to connect with low-cost, no-cost resources. And of course, we have our amazing campus partners who either our case managers or any clinical staff member can connect you with given your situation. So oftentimes that can look like working with Accessible Education Center, Psychiatry and University Health Services, or the Dean of Students Office, just to name a few. I want to talk about some of our additional counseling services that you may or may not know about. So we do provide consultations to anyone that is concerned about a UO student. So it can happen for parents, family members, faculty, staff, and it could be a friend or another UO student that's concerned about a UO student. If you're ever concerned about a student and wondering perhaps, well, how do I provide support, or how do I have a conversation to show them that I care, or what options or resources can I mention to them, just call up UCS and we'll get you connected with one of our clinical staff and we'll just talk you through the situation. We also have our after-hours support and crisis line. So it's just our main office line number. So one could call that number when the center is closed. So that's after 5 o'clock and on weekends and holidays. A student will be connected to talk with a mental health professional with whatever they're needing. It could be that they're in crisis or just needing additional support at the time, or one could use it for a student that they're concerned about. So you want to consult. We have our Collegiate Recovery Center, so the CRC, which is physically located on the 3rd floor in the EMU, and it is a community of students that are actively in recovery. Oftentimes that means meeting together to receive support from one another with support meetings, educational programming, and social events. With our Let's Talk program, I'm just going to show you here a little bit more about it. So that's typically a program where our specialists are at a satellite location providing formal one-on-one consultative support for students. So what ends up happening and why it feels different from a traditional therapy sort of setting is that there's no paperwork needed, it's first come, first serve, and it's usually a one-time meeting. Oftentimes it's for students wanting to try it out to get a feel for what it's like to talk to someone about their concerns, or maybe they just conveniently want to check in for someone with someone that day. Also for students with marginalized identities, it's a way to connect with one of our specialists. So as you can see here in the past year, we had 6 different days and times where we offered it. And with a click of the button, you get onto Zoom and you can talk to somebody. So just know in the fall, our plan is to have some sort of hybrid version of Let's Talk where you can either meet online through Zoom or in person. So just check out our website to see more updated information. Many students might also know that we have our education and prevention and outreach program, which basically means all things mental health that happens outside of the counseling center. It could be our weekly workshops that we provide at the Duck Nest Wellness Center at the EMU. We also provide these workshops by request, whether for a student, org, or class. We also have mental health campaigns, including Stress Less, that happens at the end of each term. November, All States is Fit, May Mental Health Month, and oftentimes such events are coordinated by our Student Advisory Board and our campus partners. We also have a robust suicide prevention program in which members of our UO community engage in trainings and learning opportunities on how to support students when having suicidal thoughts. I also wanted to share with you about our online care kit and what resources are available to you on our website. There we include information on common concerns, coping strategies, and our Be Well blog. We also have our well-being tools, and so there are 2 well-being assessments there, one for general mental health concerns and one in regards to substance use. So with both of these screenings, students receive individualized feedback and from there decide what next steps they would like to take in terms of services. We also have access there for students for our WellTrack app, which is a self-guided and interactive way to manage your mental health and well-being. You can also check out our DuckTales podcast and our counseling YouTube channel on various mental health topics. I do want to highlight one of our suicide prevention programs that we were able to bring to campus through a National Suicide Prevention grant we received. This Cognito program is an online interactive role-play simulation. So there's a faculty staff module and a student module. Those that engage in the module learn the signs and symptoms to look out for when a student is struggling with their mental health. What I really appreciate is that it really allows people to not be afraid to have these conversations, to lean in and learn effective ways to empathically respond and express concern to a student about their mental health. To connect with us, certainly you can connect with us through our University Counseling Services phone number, which is right here, 541-346-3227. You can call that number or come visit us at UCS to start the process of accessing our services and scheduling an appointment with a therapist or case manager. It also can be used to call if you're under high distress and needing to get connected right away, and to ask any questions about our services. And as I mentioned before, this line also serves as our after-hours support and crisis line number when we are closed. And of course, I want to show you our website right here. To find us in person, we're in the Health Counseling and Testing Center building right across from Oregon Hall. So that's in the southwest corner of 13th and Agate, and we're on the second floor. I also want to share with you where you can find us on social media. So, of course, I'm probably biased, but I do think our social media is pretty great. It serves as an amazing resource for students for support, including quick tips, advice, great pick-me-ups, interesting articles, and just ways to get information to take better care of oneself and their mental health. And that's all I've got for you. So I just want to say thank you for listening in about our various services and resources at University Counseling Services. And, of course, be well.